Earth, the Justice League displayed their capabilities. They all united a week after winning the battle against Steppenwolf. Despite numerous threats arising, they worked efficiently, collaborating as a team, and became protectors for everyone. Together they saved many lives, yet they operated individually. But they are refugees, so political tensions remain high, and the world is on the edge. The Justice League then gathered at their headquarters, the Batcave. Among them, only Superman still kept some distance, especially from Batman. Aquaman continued to face skepticism from the people of Atlantis because of the surface world. Diana herself could feel what Arthur was experiencing because she abandoned her people a long time ago. Batman, on the other hand, had his own problems, which were equally severe. Bruce then secretly met with Lois. They tried to find the whereabouts of Lex Luthor, who had escaped from prison. There was a tension between them since Superman came back to life. The meeting ended when Lois told Bruce that Superman needed her more than ever. However, Bruce noticed that Lois was hiding something. Meanwhile, in the Brazilian jungle, Lex found Dr. Maru. She was still alive and conducting dangerous experiments, using her own body as a test subject. Dr. Maru was experimenting to create a new, deadlier chemical weapon. She still had an obsession with gathering information and artifacts about Diana Prince and the Amazons. With Diana now known to everyone in the world, Lex gave Maru an opportunity for revenge. Lex himself mentioned he held grudges against Batman and Superman. Maru agreed, and Lex smiled, saying, "Let's begin." In the Atacama Desert, with Maru's help, Lex managed to free Orm and Black Manta from the desert prison. Then, outside Central City, Lex freed Len Snart, who was skilled in weaponry and harbored a grudge against the Flash. In Metropolis, Superman asked Lois when she would tell him something. Lois then replied, "Tell you about what, Clark?" Superman said he could hear another heartbeat. And she shouldn't call him Clark. The world believes Clark is dead. Lois looked hesitant and frightened hearing that. Superman then reassured her that he will always love her. In Paris, Diana and Manalip discovered that there might be a way to remember the path back to Themyscira. Diana had to use the lasso herself to reopen her memories. It was a dangerous process, but Diana wanted to help Manalip get home. And Diana also wanted to see her mother again. Diana then used her lasso and was shocked by what she saw. At first, everything looked so beautiful. For the first time in the last century, Diana saw her home again, the Amazons, and of course her mother. However, then everything turned dark. Diana saw herself as a goddess of war, where she fought against Superman. Diana even killed Superman. Diana then cried seeing that. Fortunately, Manalipe managed to snap Diana out of it. Although she was sad, confused, and scared, Diana remembered the way home. Meanwhile, in the Central City courthouse, Barry attended a trial. Thanks to Cyborg, Iris, and the lawyers hired by Bruce Wayne, the case of Barry Allen's father, Henry Allen, was reopened. Barry was delighted with this. In the ocean, Aquaman and Mera were fighting against the last kingdom of the 7 existing kingdoms, the Unseen. The battle created huge whirlpools and caused underwater lava to flow. Arthur defeated the 7th king using his trident. Arthur had actually invited the leader to form an alliance, but they refused. In the Batcave, Cyborg helped Alfred renovate the Batcave. Cyborg even added a female AI voice to replace Alfred's voice. Seeing the empty Batcave, Cyborg then asked why Bruce never went home. Alfred then firmly replied, because he had to face himself when he went home. Batman moved towards the deepest forest in Canada, trying to follow the latest clue about Lex Luthor's whereabouts. Reportedly, Lex was seen in a small town. After a fight, Batman was surprised to find not Lex's hideout, but the Riddler. Riddler appeared very dirty with a long beard. It turned out that Lex had made him like that. Lex had come to his place and asked him questions. the Riddler struggling to answers. "Luthor asked me. I have to know the answers." Lois was also trying to trace Lex's trail. Instead, she found Dr. Maru's base in Brazil. Lois wrote everything down in a journal and kept it secret. She was then shocked by the facts. She discovered that Lex and Dr. Maru were also forming their own team. Back in the Canadian forest, Batman fought the Riddler. He told Bruce how Lex came to him for information. Lex introduced the anti-life equation, something that made the Riddler wonder. But the Riddler eventually answered the question. He knew what the anti-life equation could do. When the object was activated, all life would become meaningless. The Riddler then pointed a gun at his head. He knew Lex was serious about his goal, and in the end the Riddler took his own life. Wonder Woman and Mena Lippi finally returned to Themyscira. Diana was unsure how her mother would react, but Hippolyta greeted her very joyfully and tearfully. She even held a party that had never happened in Amazon history. On the other hand, Aquaman and Mera eventually managed to make the unseen part of their alliance. It was something that happened for the first time since Atlantis sank. The Seven Kingdoms reformed an alliance, and Atlantis, once again, united. In Metropolis, Lois returned to Superman and said she accepted that Clark was gone, and Lois decided to continue the search for Lex Luthor. In Gotham, Batman returned from the wilderness, still shocked by what he had experienced earlier. Intercut with Lois receiving news from General Swanwick that Lex had all 3 mother boxes. At the 3 Rivers, a helicopter was monitoring the area. Lex was there, but his team was elsewhere, keeping in contact with Lex as he prepared to activate the mother boxes. Lex's goal was to destroy the Justice League and take the anti-life equation power for himself, to control all the living thing on Earth. The anti-life equation lit up as Lex was about to activate the mother boxes. Cyborg sensed something, as the data supply suddenly stopped for the first time since he became a robot. A boom tube then startled Lex Luthor, creating a portal. Emerging from the portal was Darkseid, Darkseid's war general. Darkseid himself appeared before Lex. He wanted Lex to hand over the anti-life equation. In the Batcave, Superman, Batman, and Lois gathered. They learned about Darkseid's arrival. Superman told Batman that this was a battle of gods. Superman then delivered a message to Bruce. "She is my world. Protect her." Superman then left to face Darkseid. After Superman left, Bruce and Lois argued. Bruce knew that Lois was pregnant. Lois ended the argument by saying to Bruce, "You're not the father." Even though Lois tried to divert his attention to Lex's plan, Bruce won't listen. At the 3 Rivers, Lex told Darkseid that he had the power to kill Superman. Darkseid moves forward, acknowledging Lex. He said, "I don't want him dead, I want Superman to submit." Lex responded, "That girl." He said that Lois Lane was the key to breaking Superman's spirit. Superman then arrived and the battle against Darkseid ensued. However, Darkseid turned around and went back into the portal. Then Darkseid arrived in the Batcave, causing it to collapse and trapping Bruce and Lois. Bruce then stared at Darkseid and Lois through a glass wall above. Darkseid looked at Lois. Bruce was shocked and overwhelmed. Superman flies at incredible speed to Gotham. Darkseid shoots omega beams from his eyes. Superman finally came, but it was too late. He screamed and cried, his spirit shattered as he saw Lois Lane turn to ash from Darkseid's omega beam. As Superman tried to finish off Darkseid, the leader of Apocalypse managed to implant the anti-life equation into him. He turned into a terrifying being. His eyes is burning. Before Lois could warn everyone, Lex signaled his team to start the attack. In Themyscira, Dr. Maru unleashed a chemical gas attack that engulfed the island and its inhabitants. Diana even died in her mother's arms. In Atlantis, Orm and Black Manta attacked Arthur's coronation. Arthur was killed in the assault. Mira Morn. In Central City, Len attacked Flash with his custom weapon. Cyborg was severely injured, losing the lower half of his body while trying to save Barry. In the Batcave, Batman watched everything in horror. He saw how Darkseid managed to control Superman. Superman turns on Batman, and he barely escapes. Seeing this, Lex believed he had won. Then he faced Superman. Superman looked at Lex with glowing eyes and ultimately killed him. As Lex screamed, the world turned red. The world finally changed, 5 years later. Emerging from the sands was a post-apocalyptic Batman with his team. They all tried to reach Wayne Manor. Batman led them there. Flash dragged what was left of Cyborg behind him. Bruce urged everyone to hurry before nightfall. Superman trying to find them. In other parts of the world, Green Lantern arrives, having crashed on Earth in a ship. He tried to contact anyone, but there was no response. A loud noise was heard, and when the door opened, a silhouette appeared, revealing Batman. Behind him, a parademon, one of Darkseid's minions, responsible for causing the Lantern's plane to crash. Deathstroke emerged to protect Batman. Eventually, Deathstroke joined Batman. The Flash also joined them, fighting the parademon. However, Batman barks at the Flash to stay out of the fight, saying Barry is too important to the mission to risk getting hurt. Flash is nearly killed, but Lantern saves him, marking the start of their iconic friendship. After defeating Parademon, Lantern surveys the Earth using his ring, explaining to them who he is and the history of the Green Lantern Corps. Lantern reveals that he came searching for his partner from Earth, who is missing and presumed dead, like most of the Lanterns. Darkseid's army is sweeping across the universe. In the sky, the Big Dipper constellation is missing 2 stars. Batman comments that all the stars will go out due to the events on Earth. As the sun sets, Batman says they need to move. Batman, Deathstroke, Flash, and Lantern try to make their way back to their hidden base beneath Wayne Manor. Mara joins them, walking across the desert with Arthur's trident on her shoulders, carrying 2 buckets of water. She remarks that she had to travel further than usual to find drinkable water. At Wayne Manor, Bruce outlines his operation to Lantern. They are planning a move to end Darkseid's reign on Earth. Lantern doubts their chances. Instead, he wants to repair his ship and search for any surviving members of the Corps. He questions what this Justice League can do to stop Darkseid. Cyborg reveals that he able to plug into machinery in the Batcave and working on massive technology. A cosmic treadmill that will help the Flash jump back in time. To what end? Lantern asks. Cyborg explains the complexities of time travel. It's very unpredictable, and even if they succeed in sending Flash back, they can only attempt this once a year. To ensure Earth is in the exact position needed so Flash doesn't end up in solid rock, space, or worse. To operate the machine, they need to steal a mother box from Darkseid's army, and they know where one is. But powering up the machine will draw Superman's attention. Lantern asks, "Who?" Mara answers, "A Darkseid-controlled Superman." Even Lantern has heard of the Kryptonian and is alarmed that he's under Darkseid's control, having believed his spirit to be unbreakable. Deathstroke then shares that nearly the entire population has fallen to the anti-life equation, their minds controlled by Darkseid. He recounts the painful memory of his daughters was taken, a torment worse than death. They need to act quickly. The planet's alignment is tomorrow night, the same position it was when Bruce first encountered Flash in the Batcave. If they miss this window, they won't have another chance for a year. The plan is for Barry to warn Batman so they can be prepared, but Flash will only have 10 to 15 seconds before he disintegrates. So, what can he say in that amount of time? They agree the message is simple. You have to stop Lex. If Lex is stopped, Darkseid will never arrive, and Lex won't able to annihilate the Justice League. But later, Bruce pulls Barry aside. Bruce confides that it won't work. In the past, he was already trying to stop Lex. Flash needs to say something else. Bruce admits, "She was Superman's world. I believe I broke that connection." Bruce then gives Barry's a new message and Flash's eyes widen. Barry can't help but say, "No way." Bruce responds, "Tell me this, and it will change everything." At dawn, the mission begins. In Batmobile, the Justice League, Batman, Green Lantern, Deathstroke, and Mera break into the Stronghold, a cathedral filled with anti-life-controlled people and Darkseid's soldiers. Human priests kneel before the Mother Box. Batman warns that once they retrieve the Mother Box, Superman will be aware of them. Back at the Batcave, Cyborg and Flash prepare for Barry's jump. Cyborg stresses that Flash has limited time. He must deliver the message before he disintegrates. But if Barry succeeds, it won't matter. None of this will have ever happened. Batman and the others steal the Mother Box and make a desperate run back to the Batcave as Flash and Cyborg prepare for Barry's jump. Superman notices and goes after them. Superman arrives and confronts the League. From a tower, Deathstroke fires a kryptonite bullet at Superman, but Superman dodges it. Deathstroke tells Batman, "This better work. This better save my daughter." Superman flies through the tower, killing Deathstroke. Mara tries to extract the water from Superman, but he crushes her. Green Lantern attacks with his ring, but Superman counters with his corrupted heat vision, causing the ring to explode and take Lantern's arm with it. Superman finally arrives at the Batcave. Cyborg does his best to hold off Superman while Flash prepares to jump. Just after Cyborg activates the machine, Superman throws him to the parademons who tear him apart. Ultimately, it's Batman facing off against Superman. The Flash runs hard on the machine, seconds away from jumping. Batman wields the kryptonite spear, but Superman impales him with it. As these two heroes struggle, the Flash races as fast as he can, exploding through time just before Superman reaches him. Then we shift to Bruce and Lois, arguing in the Batcave. "You're not the father," Lois yells as she storms out. Flash arrives in the exact moment. He tells Bruce what he hadn't heard before, the words Bruce told him. "Lois lied to you. You're the father." After delivering his message, Flash vanishes from existence. Lois comes down, tries to reconnect with Bruce, who is still reeling from the revelation. Again, Lois is insisting he listens to her. This time, Bruce listens to her. She tells him Lex has a plan to kill the Justice League. Working together, they uncover his plans against the League. Suddenly, Darkseid's boom tube opens, water flooding the Batcave again. Darkseid focuses on Lois, Bruce looking down from above behind the glass again. But this time, Bruce smashes through the glass, throwing himself in front of Darkseid's Omega beams, saving Lois. He is struck, cries out, but survives. Superman arrives in time to see Batman injured. He flies into a rage, but instead of being broken, he is empowered. Furious, Superman forces Darkseid to retreat. Lois tells Superman he has to warn the others. Lex has a plan. With Lois's information on Lex's Injustice League, Superman saves the League, preventing Dr. Maru from releasing the gas, saving Aquaman, and stopping Len from taking out Cyborg. Meanwhile, Bruce reveals to Lois that although he survived, he was hit. Darkness is spreading across his body. He is in pain, but they need to keep fighting. He tells Lois as he boards the Batplane, "I could have had a life outside of the cave with you." Earth unites against Darkseid. Darkseid's full-scale invasion begins, overwhelming the Justice League. Led by Superman, the countries of the world come together. Armies, air forces, navies. Wonder Woman and her mother lead the Amazons of Themyscira into battle. In the oceans, Aquaman rallies the Seven Kingdoms, declaring the surface world as an eighth kingdom, advocating for unity. The Seven Kingdoms rise to join the Amazons and the surface dwellers. The entire world becomes a Justice League ready to battle Darkseid army. The historical alliance of men, Amazons, and Atlanteans echoes today as Green Lantern joins the fight with the alien Green Lantern Corps. The DC universe comes together on an unprecedented scale to save the world. During the battle, Hippolyta dies saving her daughter, proud of her sacrifice. The Flash moves so quickly he masters his powers, existing in two places at once, taking out an entire army himself. Cyborg overpowers the mother boxes, triggering a chain reaction that destroys them, weakening Darkseid. Ultimately, a dying Batman sacrifices himself to save the League and the world, defeating Darkseid. In the aftermath, Diana becomes the new queen of the Amazons, leading them to rejoin the outside world and restore peace. With the Amazons at her side, Diana negotiates peace among nations like never before. Arthur is recognized as a true king who helped unite the world, with his human heritage no longer a point of skepticism, but of admiration. Cyborg evolves, becoming a god of the digital age, able to transform himself to look human again. Lois mourns Bruce's death. Superman realizes Lois is carrying Bruce's child. Lois admits it, but he already knows. Perhaps he always did. He understands what he needs to do and embraces Lois and her unborn child, finding a reason to be Clark again. 20 years later, after a memorial honoring Batman's sacrifice, Commissioner Barbara Gordon asks Lois, "What are you going to tell him?" referring to Lois's son and the truth about his father. For the first time in decades, crime is returning to Gotham, and it needs the Batman again. Lois takes her son to the Batcave and reveals the truth, that his father was Bruce Wayne, Batman. In Gotham, rising from the shadows and into the moonlight, we meet the new Batman,